Hello and welcome back to OBR Cess, the channel about talking Bone Reapers. Today I'm just going to go through the war scrolls of all the heroes that we have right now. I apologize, this is going a little late. I've kind of had a weird week at work and we're trying to get some vacation stuff going, so I'm running a little bit behind. It was also just kind of a shit day at work, so we'll see how grumpy I get with any of these war scrolls. So this is where the army has a lot of big changes. You'll notice throughout when we go through this that a lot of our units have lost out on the crit 2 hits, which that really sucks. It's felt like a very core part of the army for quite a few years now. That being said, I don't mind not having crit 2 hits necessarily. I don't think it really fits with the lore. I think crit mortals would fit with the lore a lot better with the changes they've made, because you'll see, like, when we start going through these, almost everybody has lost this crit 2 hits. Like even Catacross, he's only getting it on his spear. He doesn't get it on his retinue blades anymore, but overall, like 90% of the units lost it. If we were going to have that big of a reduction, why not just give us the crit mortals instead? Something like that I think would have felt a little bit better. But we're not going to be Debbie Downers today. We're going to try and talk more about the positive stuff. Unfortunately, that's not going to start yet. We have to talk about Catacross first. So Catacross is 500 points right now. As you can see, he is keeping his 3-up save. He's still got the 4-inch move, 20 wounds. He's now up to 10 control, which is really nice. And of course the 6-up ward for being a death army. So far so good. Running that is all the same as he used to be. Him with the new movement relentless discipline is really nice, getting him up to that 7-inch. Or if you're running the auto 4 roll battle formation, he can be a little bit faster nowadays. So let's talk about his weapons though. So he's got 3 different profiles. They're all melee profiles. First one is Inda Cat. It is his spear glaive thing here. The only one that has a weapon ability for crit 2 hits. Good to have. So at base now, he starts with only the 3 attacks, which he used to be 5 attacks, but other than that, it's still the same. It's still 3s, 2 rend, 3 damage. So losing out a little bit there. Shield of Mortis is exactly the same as it's always been, or at least for the last 18 months or whatever. 3 attacks, 3s, 2 rend, 2 damage. Both are really good profiles, just like on base. The attacks are low, but you should be getting most of them through. That rend really helps, and then the damage is going to chunk through a lot. The last one is the retinue blades. 10 attacks at 3s, 4s, rend 1 damage. It's all of his little helpers there. This one's the same as it was before, just minus the crit 2 hits, which isn't the biggest loss. It's kind of that extra little bit of chip damage that you can throw into something. Not a huge thing. But overall, we are on less attacks for his glaive, which that's the big damage dealer. We also don't have the same access to anti-charge +1 rend, which I loved using with him, getting these up to 3 rend and this one up to 2 rend. Did a lot more work. He's definitely not as punchy as he used to be. There's an ability, we'll get to it, that makes him more punchy, but I have my own problems with that. So let's get into his abilities. First thing he has is passive Fractured Command. This is his bracketing mechanic now. While this unit has 10 or more damage points, the number after its relentless discipline keyword is 4. I really don't like that. I get what they're going with. These guys are dying. That's where his extra commands is from, where he's getting the extra RDP. That just doesn't feel good. It's very easy. He's not near as durable as you'll see with the other abilities. He's going to be running around that a lot more. And then once he goes from 10 to 4 for his RDP, that is a massive reduction. If they were going to do it like this, I would have preferred it still be a 6 or a 7 or an 8 even. Because like with the kind of thematic reason is all of his little minions are dying. So you're telling me Catacross is only worth 4 by himself? or he's just getting stupider as he's taking damage. I don't know. It's odd. It's one of the many odd choices that they made. So let's move on to the next one. Mortarch of the Necropolis. Effect, add 3 to the control scores of friendly visible OBR units that have used any Relentless Discipline abilities this turn. That's an awesome passive for him. It makes sense. It's similar to rules he's had before where he's just buffing up their control score. It does really push you towards having a lot of units and giving them all little points boosts, but it's just when you know you're going to have a tightly contested objective or terrain feature or whatever it might be, you can make sure that you use a point on them, bump it up. I don't mind it. So next, let's get into his combat phase ability. Supreme Lord of the Bone Reaper Legions. Declare, if this unit is not in combat, pick a visible friendly Ossiarch Bone Reapers unit wholly within 12 of this unit that is in combat and has not used a Relentless Discipline ability this phase to be the target. Okay, so pretty simple. You just need to make sure he's outside of combat, you have another unit wholly within 12 of him, and they can't have used a Relentless Discipline ability this phase. Very easy to do that because this is a non-fight ability. You're going to be popping this off first, so not an issue at all. So effect, spend a number of Relentless Discipline points equal to the target's health characteristic. The target is reinforced and has more than half of its starting models, spend an additional point. The target can use 2 fight abilities this phase. After the first is used, however, the target has straight glass for the rest of the turn. In addition, the target cannot use Relentless Discipline abilities for the rest of the phase. So I like having the ability to have strike last, or strike twice, I should say. Something that we haven't had an option for before. It's a really cool ability. We're starting to see it a lot more throughout the game. I don't know why ours is so restrictive though. A lot of other armies, it's something like, hey, use a command point, you get to fight twice, or hey, this unit's so badass, it just gets to do it once per battle. This one, he has to be outside of combat, but close enough to combat that he can affect the unit wholly within 12. Then you have to spend a whack load of points. Like if you're putting this on your Stalkers or your Mortis Guard and you've got them running reinforced, that's 5 points. That is half your points. If Catacross got chipped up early, he can't use it. So it is so restrictive. And then you can't use any other abilities on top of it. You can't +1 to wound, you can't 5-up ward. It's a very cool ability. It has got 10 layers of restrictions on it. That makes it not useless, but not near as good as it looks. And this is where a lot of his points cost is coming from. So I'm sure by now you've probably even read ahead of what I've already talked about, or if you're just following along, you can tell something's not adding up. This doesn't feel like a 500 point unit yet. So let's get into the part where this ability gets even stupider. So we have a once per battle start of any turn. You dare. Declare, this unit can only use this ability if at least half of the units from your starting army have been destroyed. Effect, for the rest of the battle round, add 5 to the attacks characteristics of this unit's Indakat. Add 3 to the attacks characteristic of this unit's Shield of Mortis. This unit cannot use the Supreme Lord of the Bone Reapers Legion ability. So half of your army is gone. We're getting into the late game. You don't have much left on the board. There's a good chance he's already knocked down to 4 RDP. You can turn him Super Saiyan. He's going to be up to 8 attacks on there. You're going to do a whack load of damage when he gets to that. You're going to add 3 to the attacks characteristics of the shield, so you're up to 6 there. That makes him very scary in combat. But you lose this ability, which is where you're probably getting more damage. It's expensive. You probably can't even use it anymore because you've taken a bit of damage with him, or you've kept him completely safe. He's got enough points on it. I don't like this. I love that he gets super attacky. I don't like that it is from his army getting destroyed. Kind of makes it feel like he is a really shit commander with this. Like what we had in third He had a lot of different abilities, and it was as these guys were dying off for the first 10, 15 wounds, whatever it was, as they were dying off, like this guy doubled the range of where we could use our abilities. As he died, we went from a 30, I think it was a 36 to 18, or it was a 30 to an 18. It was a big reduction on that. I can't remember what we lost for these guys. I think the Spy Master was still a command point thing, but we just lost abilities. But as we were losing those abilities, he was slowly gaining more attacks. I much preferred that. It was more thematic. It was as his minions were starting to get chopped up, he was getting ready to go into combat. And when he was in combat with a hero, even if he was at full health, he said, hey, back off. He went in at full beans. That is a lot more thematic. It feels like a more natural system. Everything about this just feels weird. I don't know. It's really not a fan. I'll do final thoughts on him at the end because we do have one more ability. And this one's good. I do like it. In a hero phase, Aviarch Spy Master, pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of this unit to be the target. Roll a dice on a 3-up that target cannot use commands for the rest of the turn. So it's 50-50 whether I like this one more than the other one. The other one was pick an enemy unit within 18 of it that had used a command point, rolled a dice on a 5-up. The command didn't happen, but the points were spent on it. I really liked that one because it did a lot of CP management for my opponent. I would save it for when they would go for counter charges so that I could take away 2 of their CP and them get nothing, or a clutch all-out defense, all-out attack. But it was incredibly inconsistent on the 5-up. This one, we've gained the consistency on a couple things. Like we've got the 3-up and it just shuts them down for the rest of the turn from using command points. But it means your opponent can plan around it. They can go, okay, that one's not allowed to do anything. We'll try and make it up with somebody else. It's still incredibly disruptive for your opponent and it's much more consistent. They do still have to be within that 18 inches. I like it. I am fine with this ability. So overall with Katakros, he's just too expensive right now. His Warscroll feels very clunky with the Udare and the Supreme Lord of the Bone Reaper Legions, as well as Fractured Command just feels off. So he's really expensive right now for what he can do. Still waiting on a battle scroll. It's rumored. Some people are still saying next week. I don't think they're going to drop it the week that Adepticon is happening. I'm expecting it the week after Adepticon is done. That's when we'll get it. So we are currently like a week and a half away from it coming out. And I'm hoping he is going to get hit with a points drop. Honestly, even with the points drop, I just find his Warscroll incredibly clunky. I think he's collecting dust for me for the rest of this edition. I don't know if there's a cost I'm willing to pay on this. If he gets below 450, I might get a little bit tempted, but that's probably going to take a couple of Warscrolls before they do that. I'm really hoping he gets the Rodiga Soggy treatment, where a big named hero can still get a Soggy Warscroll. Whatever our new thing is in July for the General's Handbook, I really hope they do that. It's been incredibly popular, those alternative Warscrolls. I hope he gets that. I hope he does, and they just clean it up a little bit, because then everyone will be willing to take him again. Right now, I'm not seeing him show up in a lot of lists. He does have some play, but he's a quarter of your army right now. For weird clunkiness, the RDP is great, but it's off of his damage points that it goes down, so you can't put him into combat. So you have to let the rest of your army get wiped out so that you can use this and lose this. It's odd. I would prefer the triggering effect for the You Dare and the Fractured Command. Just flip those and it fixes this unit so much. Have it that he gets better at combat when he's wounded. Even still keep the losing the Supreme Lord of the Bone Reaper Legions. Just he gets red in the eye. He just wants to fight. He's done with this. And have it as his army is whittling away. That's when he's losing the Relentless Discipline. Something like that would be better. Okay, but let's move on. Bad mood, bad day to talk about Katakros. Okay, now let's talk about something a lot more positive. So we've got Arcan the Black, who's running in at 440 points right now. He went up a lot, and it is fairly well deserved. So he's got a 12-inch move, 14 health, 3 up save. He's only the 5 control, 6 up ward, and he's only worth 3 RDP. The 3 RDP hurts a little bit because he is a general. He's been a general for millennia upon millennia. He was old world general. Feels a little weird that he's only worth 3 of them, but it's kind of fine because even when I eventually get into doing his Army of Renown, I'm going to see that, yeah, that's fine. He completely ignores it in his Army of Renown. I'm going headcanon. He hates the RDP system and just doesn't want to play with it. As far as melee weapons go, he has 2 profiles. Both of them are melee. Oh my good god. What are you doing to me, GW, with these names? Zephyt Kar and Kanash On. 4 attacks, 3s and 4s, Rend 1, D3. Honestly, that's pretty standard for most wizards. We'll do a double check once we get into doing the small wizards, but I think that's kind of the same profile they're running around with. But then the big winner is his companion weapon, Razorak's Eben Claws. It is companion, it is going to have the battle damaged effect, 5 attacks, 4s and 2s, Rend 3, 3 damage. Holy crap, that's spicy. The hit sucks, but it's expected on something like this. All out attacks, you're going to be using it just to get that down to 3s. You got to keep him about at any -1 to hit if you're getting him into combat, which now it's a weird thing if you do and you don't want him in combat. So onto his abilities. Battle damaged. While this unit has 10 or more damage points, the attacks of Razorak's Eben Claws is 3, so he's going to lose 2 attacks. But we're going to skip ahead to where that can kind of be mitigated a little bit. So it's once per turn army. No duh, he's a unique unit. Any combat phase. The Doom of Traitors. If this unit charges this turn, pick an enemy unit in combat with it to be the target. Effect. Roll a d3. Add 1 to the roll if the target is a wizard or a priest. On a 2-up, add an amount equal to the roll to the attack's characteristics of Razorak's Eben Claws for the rest of the phase. But while this unit is in combat with the target, all attacks made with that weapon this phase must target that enemy. And then they do have a designer's note. If you're going up against a wizard or priest, this ability cannot fail. You just still have to roll to make sure you know how many attacks. The other nice thing with this is the restriction on only targeting that enemy that you rolled against. It's only while you're in combat with them. So when you're charging him in, you want to be charging other stuff in anyways. If you get the situation where there is a small foot hero within his combat range and the hammer that you want to hit, if you're pretty sure you can keep him alive against that hammer, you send whatever your other unit is. They go ahead, kill that little hero, and then he's free to use those attacks on whatever the hammer is. At potentially 9 attacks at 4s and 2s, Rend 3, damage 3, you're going to put through a lot of damage even on stuff with 3-up saves. All out attack, get it to there. If you use the Ruthless Legion battle formation, that's the one that you pick a unit after you charge, you roll on a 3-up. All of their weapons gain crit 2 hits. If you're running Arcan, that is a pretty good formation. It still sucks that it's a 3-up on the charge, but whatever. If you do that, because it also affects companion weapons, he's going to get crit 2 hits on that. So best case scenario, you're getting 9 attacks. Let's say you all out attack for 3s and 2s, Rend 3, 3 damage with crits on 6s. That's an awesome thing to have. That's going to do a lot of damage for you. He's still risky a little bit to get in combat. He's still only 14 health. He does have the 3-up save. He does have to be charging to be really dangerous, but he still can defend himself decently. It's keep him safe until the later game, and then you can toss him in and he is going to do some damage for you. So his other abilities are all about being a wizard. So his first one is a passive, the Staff of Spirits. Add 1 to casting rolls for this unit. Each time this unit successfully casts a spell, heal 1 to this unit after that spell ability has been resolved. That's the same thing he had before. It's a great ability. It keeps him a lot more durable than you think he's going to be. With the 3-up save, he's casting spells, he's healing. You use him a lot when you're counter casting. If you want to get that extra bonus of casting a spell and getting a heal, or if he's in combat and you can't rally him, it's a really good way to keep him durable. If you keep him with the right units, because this army right now, it's a lot of layered protection for the units. It's a lot of this little unit gives you this little unit gives you this defensive buff. You layer it all together, and that's where our durability comes from. And we'll get into that a little bit more when we start talking about the actual units themselves that are the ones doing it. Little things like that are what's going to make you very durable, and he's got an extra little bonus one in the right spots. Okay, so once per turn reaction. Opponent declared a spell ability for a unit within 18 inches of this unit. Effect, roll 2d6. If the roll exceeds the casting roll for the spell, then the spell is unbound. Its effect is not resolved, and that spell ability cannot be used by enemy units until the start of your next turn. Awesome way to shut down unlimited spells. Awesome protection against a double turn. If you shut down one of their crucial unlimited spells, or even just one of their crucial spells, it's being stopped anyways because it's not going to be successful. And then you are not allowing them to cast it until the start of your next turn. If they get that double but they can't have that crucial spell they need, there's a chance they do not take that double because it's not worth it. They're not going to be able to do enough. They'll eat it so that they're not under the effect of this ability. Also, as it is right now, the way it's worded, the spell does not have to be successfully cast. If they need a 7 and they roll a 4 and you want to use this anyways just to stop them from attempting to recast it again another time, then you can do that. And it is a bonus unbind as well. Like, he's a wizard 3, so he's going to have 3 unbinds. This kind of gives him 4 unbinds, with one of those unbinds being supercharged. So overall, this ability alone is a big reason of why his points cost is up. This is just a brand new ability that got added onto his war scroll. He's had the Staff of Spirits, he's had Curse of Years, he had the Doom of Traitors. It worked very differently. I kind of like this better. We have enough mortal damage output elsewhere, but this one is the majority of where his points are coming. So the last one, the one he has had for time immortal, the Curse of Years. So pick a visible enemy unit within 12 inches of the unit to be the target, then make a casting roll. If it goes off, you roll 10 dice. For each 6, give the target 1 necrotic withering point and then roll an extra dice. Then you go through 5s, 4s, 3s, 2s, and then you're done. You don't get to keep rolling 2s. I like that they have finally figured out, after how many years, how to write this to make it make sense and confirm of, hey, once you get to the stages of doing the 2+, you're done. You only get to roll that once. And you don't really need it anymore anyways, because now we are not just doing mortal damage, we are giving them necrotic withering points. So, read the last bit. After a roll, if the target has 8 or more necrotic withering points, it is automatically destroyed. Otherwise, after the last roll, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the number of necrotic withering points it has, then those necrotic withering points are lost. So it's got an auto kill mechanic. That's very cool. It makes this way more worthwhile to attempt to cast onto just a big block of something instead of using this as a hero target. It is also great for that too. It's always been more of a thing of, I've got a cast left, I'll throw it on. Every once in a while you do it really intentionally on, I need to just get some chip mortals in there. If I can get 2-3 mortals, it's great. This one, you're still not going to roll and get the 8 points a whole lot. I think the math I've seen, it's something like a 1 in 20 chance that you could pull it off. There is that chance that if you roll really well, you can just kill whatever it is. Auto kills, they do feel bad, but at least this one feels earned. It's not like Nagash with the 50-50. If he lived, he can kill something. I like it. I really like the way it's worded. So the other little things we gotta talk about it, he's War Master, he's still a monster. He's one of only 2 monsters that we have anymore. Always has been, it's expected. He's the Wizard 3, he does have the fly keyword. A whole lot of ways of just saying you can't obscure him. These are all the same keywords he had before, he just gained the 3 Relentless Discipline points. Quick note, I realized I did not scan Nagash. I'm kind of okay with that because we don't really need to go over Nagash and his specific War Scroll things. I think I might just talk about him more when we get to units and what units work really well for him. His War Scroll has not changed. It doesn't change in between books. It's just his points values and what units work well for him. Nagash also gained the 3 RDP. Again, feels a little low, but not so bad because he has a lot of other workarounds where you don't need as many points. So yeah, I might pull up his War Scroll when I do the units. Not going to worry about it right now. Big thing is that he's dropped 20 points. So we went from 850 to 830. Kind of tells you what they think of the army. His points value is based very heavily on what units he can bring back and what the overall strength is of the army. He got cheaper, most likely because the army is not as strong as a whole. Otherwise, why take down his points? He's exactly the same as he always is. So kind of tells you a little bit, and after digging into more of the lore in the actual battle tome that we got, I do think any reductions in power are pretty intentional. Things right now actually don't sound all that great for the Bone Reapers. It was a lot of everyone's struggling in the lore sections, like still yes, they're amazing, all that stuff, fluffing them up, but all of the little kind of stories with the new named characters that they're putting in there definitely made it sound a lot more like they are struggling, they're a bit at the brink with the Skaven Tide. I think that's kind of why we've lost as much as we have and why we feel a bit weaker. Even though it's still a good book, it's still an army that can win a lot of games. Definitely feels weaker, and I think that is more of a lore reason than just a, hey, we want the OBR players to struggle for a little bit. Okay, let's talk about a couple more of the named heroes. So the first one we're going to do is Archcavalo Santos. He's been one of my favorites. He's never really been great in the past, but he definitely is right now. He's not auto-include in every army, but he's auto-include with certain combinations now, which is fine with me. Let's get him on the table more. He's a gorgeous model, and he's a lot of fun. He's the same up here. 10 move, 8 health, 3 up save, 2 control, and he's got 7 RDP. It feels good. It's a really good number to have. So his weapons. He still has the Dark Lance, and he also got to keep the charge plus 1 damage. His profile's the same as it's been. 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, 2 Ren, 2 damage. He's got a standard companion attack for horse, but where he gets his strength is he has 2 amazing abilities. So the first one, Unstoppable Charge. It's once per battle, which always hurts a little bit, but it is well worth it, any combat phase. Declare if this unit charged this turn, pick each enemy unit in combat with it to be the target. The targets have strike last for the rest of the turn. When you are in go mode, he is doing a lot for you. He's strike lasting multiple units, 2-3 units. When you go with him, you go with everything and you are going for pure damage. Especially with his next ability, Still Their Breath, any combat phase. Pick a friendly non-hero Ossiarch Bone Reaper's cavalry unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Effect, spend 1 RDP. If this unit is in combat, no Relentless Discipline points are spent. The target's melee weapons have charge plus 1 damage for the rest of the turn. So this only works on Death Riders, and yes, this is just getting them back to what they used to be, but it's getting them back to what they used to be at the points value they are now. You go on a big charge with a 10 block of Death Riders. They were one of our hammers before. You're putting them back up to hammer at utility unit prices right now. So I really love this ability. You combine them together on one turn for your go turn, you're doing a ton of damage. Buff up your Death Riders with all the other stuff, you can make them extremely dangerous. Keywords, nothing crazy. Unique hero, cavalry, he's got his ward, and he's got the 7 RDP. but he's also very efficient with the RDP he does spend, and he's got the special ability one. Xantos is great. If you're running reinforced blocks of Death Riders, you need to have him. You do not take a Liege Cavalos with a reinforced block. It just doesn't make sense. If you're running 10, you're bringing Xantos. For this whole package that you're getting, he's only costing 220 points, so he's not super expensive. He is still very susceptible with only the 8 health. I have lost him to dumb shit before. Play carefully with him. You have that one go turn, get your use out of it, and before that you're just getting all of that extra RDP. So now let's get into Vokmordian, the Master of the Bone Tithe. This guy's coming in at 140 points. He's a 5-inch move, 5 health, 4 up save. He's of course only got the 2 RDP. Again, I would have preferred Nagash and Arcan being like 4 or 5, something like that, and him being boosted up to 3 with being unique. It's kind of okay though with him. You're going to have a Xantos or a Liege Cavalos or something else to generate that RDP for you. So he has a ranged weapon, the Gaze of Death. Only a range of 12, 1 attack, 3s, 2s, rend 1, d6 damage. Fun to have it, fun to roll it. I always find these single attack shooting things always fail. Always fail. I tried using this in practice games and I failed his roll every time for the Gaze of Death, but it's nice to have it. If it goes off, it's a real good feel-good moment. For his melee weapons, 3 attacks, 4s, 3s, rend 1, d3 damage. You're not really wanting him in combat anyways. He can defend himself a little bit. So he is a Wizard 2, and we only have the 2 wizards that are Wizard 2. It's him and the Soul Mason. After we go through the Soul Mason, we'll talk about which level 2 wizard feels better. So he has an ability that costs a command point. It's in the enemy hero phase. It's the Voice of Nagash. Player, pick a visible enemy unit within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. The target cannot be picked to be the target of or be affected by any non-core abilities used by other enemy units for the rest of the turn. When I first read this, I was really excited because I didn't catch on to the used by other enemy units part. So at first I was like, oh my god, we're cutting out all of their non-core abilities. But it is a little more restricted than that. It makes it very situational. Gotta use it at the right moments. This is something, if you're running across a Kragnos, is great to stop that 3d6 charge. The rerolls from Irridan the Witness, I think it was the soggy version that had that. Stuff like that is what you're stopping. It's nice to have. You have to be careful with how you use it, when you use it, who you use it against. When you end up in that right situation to use it, it can be an extremely powerful ability. So he still has his Moral Contract spell. Cast on a 6. Pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of this unit to be the target. Effect until the start of your next turn. Each time the target is picked to use a core ability, roll a d3 as a reaction. On a 2+, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. If the target is destroyed by this ability, do not resolve the effect of that core ability. It's a really fun spell. I like that it casts on a 6, means it's very easy to cast. Picking them every time they try and do a core ability and getting that roll for a little bit of chip damage is a lot of fun. So let's say, best case scenario, they're a unit that has shooting attacks and they have run, shoot, charge. So you use it for the move, the run, the shoot, the charge, and the fight. So that's 5 abilities that you get to roll as a reaction for it. You're going to get a couple of them. Not quite sure how it maths out on the damage, but you can pick them apart. It is a little bit of a double turn deterrent if you get it on the right unit, because they are going to eat all of that damage. And with that 18-inch range, you can really reach out and go after somebody with this. Much better than his old spell. Pick an enemy unit, pick a friendly unit. If the enemy unit did any damage to the friendly unit, then you would roll the bad d3. Now it's just anytime they try and do anything. They're breaking the contract by trying to fight you. They're taking the damage for it. I really like that. Okay, so now we're getting into the non-unique heroes. So these are all the ones that can take the artifacts of power, the heroic traits, so they're going to get that extra little value. I'll hit the ones that really kind of work with them as we go through it. So the first one is the Liege Cavalos, coming in at 180 points. So he's a 10-inch move, 7 health, 3 up save, the 2 control. He's only 1 less RDP than Xantos, so he's still very economical on that. So he's still got the Commander's Blade. He got to keep the charge +1 damage. He's running 5 attacks, 3s and 4s, rend 1, 2 damage. For whatever reason, they decided to make him wounding on 4s now. I don't know why, that's what everyone else is. He's a hero, he should be a little bit stronger in my mind, but whatever, we'll take it. He's really not there to do damage anyways. It would just be nice that he could do a little bit more damage. What you're bringing him for are his abilities. So he's got 2 quick little abilities. Pick a friendly Death Rider unit that has not used the fight ability this turn and is within this unit's combat range to be the target. The target can be used to use a fight ability immediately after the fight ability used by this unit has been resolved. If it is picked to do so, add 1 to hit rolls for the target's combat attacks for the rest of the turn. So he's got your very classic fight after me rule. Does come with the +1 to hit, which makes it even better. There's a combination where you have Xantos, a 10 block, and him. In that situation, you charge all 3 of them in. Xantos gives the strike last on a bunch of units. You fight with him, and then you give your 10 block of Death Riders that you've buffed up to Holy Heaven. You give him the free all-out attack, and then you hit him with a +1 to wound, so you're getting 10 Death Riders at 2s and 3s. Rend 1 with the charge +1 damage, and then depending on what spells you use to buff them, depends on the other stuff that you're getting with them, so it can be a lot of fun. That's a fun ability. It still works with the ability that I showed off in my other video where I talked about all the general rules where they do that kind of mortal wound shenanigans. Because you're getting that fight after me, you're kind of wasting the +1 to hit with that ability, but having that fight after me ability is really good doing that mortal wound combo. So the other thing he has is Death Rider Commander. It's a passive effect. This unit, invisible friendly Cavalos Death Riders units wholly within 12 inches of this unit can move 12 inches instead of 10 when they use the Death Rider Wedge ability. That's their alternative fight, where instead of doing a fight ability, they do D3 mortal wounds. If there's a Liege Cavalos within range, then they get to do 2d3, and then both units get to use a move. So they get the extra 2 inches of movement. Really good. It's a fun ability. I really like that he has a passive that makes their ability better. It's fun, it's thematic. He is a great unit. I'm using him quite a bit, and he takes a lot of the artifacts and heroic traits quite well. Shard of the Necros isn't a horrible decision on him. Just keeps him safe when he's not charging into combat. Feels like you want that on more of your defensive, so it's always active. If you need to make sure that he's staying alive after they get charged back, it's a good thing to have. Blade of Nadir, which is your wound rolls. If you roll 6s, you're doing an extra D3, is pretty good. It's definitely him who I'm putting it on the most. He doesn't have a ton of attacks, but he's got the most attacks for a unit that can use it. So he's the main target for Blade of the Nadir, with the exception of the Cavalos on War Chariot, because they're kind of the same on that. Amulet of Gnosis is good if you're running that combo with Xantos 10 block and him, and you're charging in, you don't kill everything, you're still stuck in a little bit of combat. Nice to get that retreat and not worry about the damage. All of the artifacts he works well with. Heroic traits, you're never going to use Manufactured Mind on him. Immaculate Defender, you're not really going to use, but Imperious Will, which is how you get that Mortal Wound combo, because that's triggering off of activations and doing a bad D3. He really likes that one. That one does a lot for him. 180 points, he's very efficient. I really like him. He's making his way into pretty much every list I build right now. Okay, Liege Cavalos on War Chariot. This is like my 5th time trying to record this. I'm struggling to put in words what I really think of this guy, because he's interesting. Him alone is a pretty good war scroll. I really like him. It's the combo with the chariots just feels very expensive right now. But let's take it into the good. Let's talk about him. So he is a 10-inch move, 12 health on a 3-up. He's got 6 RDP, so he's sitting pretty good there. His Commander's Blade, just as good as Liege Cavalos. He's got 2 extra attacks on the companion weapons. His abilities, he does have a couple of really good ones. So the first one, grind them to dust once per turn army, any movement phase. So if himself and 2 chariots are wholly within 12 and in combat, they get to make a pile-in move, and then you do a bad D3 immortal wounds. That's really good with the any movement phase. You're going to be averaging 4 to 6 mortal wounds per movement phase. The extra bonus is, because this is not a move ability, you can do this little pile in, do the little bit of damage, and then you can retreat out. So he's really great with the Amulet of Gnosis, so you're not taking the damage on that, and then you can put the retreat and charge on them and go after another unit. I really like this ability. His next one, Masterful Charioteer, once per turn army, any combat phase. If he is charged and up to 2 visible friendly war chariots have charged and they're wholly within 12 of this unit, each target gets a 5-up ward for the rest of the turn. Really good. They need that extra durability. I know they're on the 3-up saves, and it's 10 wounds on the war chariot and 12 for him. If you throw it in the wrong target, it's really easy for them to wipe these guys off the table, or at least get one of them. Having that, it also saves you a bunch of RDP to keep them alive. They are good. They do have their tricks for survival. He really buffs them up with a lot of fun things. It's just a very expensive combo to have him and the other 2 chariots, but still good. There's a use. I need to play with it more. If you have a heavy shooting meta, that combo is really good, so that you can use the screens to bounce off, do a little bit of damage to the screens, and then turn that shooting off. That's where their real strength is. You can do a little bit of pinning hammers, but then you're going to lose them. With the 2 control each, you're not really stealing many objectives with it unless they're empty objectives, so use them to just pin stuff down. They have a use, they're just a bit expensive. He can go down 10-20 points. It's the chariots, which we'll talk about in the next one. They are what are dragging this combo down, because they do even less damage. Their movement shenanigans are fun, but they are just expensive at 170 each. So the last of our combat focused heroes, the new one, the Liege Mortek. So he's a 5-inch move, 5 health, 3-up save. He's only worth 5 RDP. That's fine. He can't see the battlefield as well because he's not on the horse. He does have the commander's weapon, which is exactly the same as the last 2, just minus the charge +1 damage. Very much a support piece with his ability, and right now he's only 120 points. Very efficient for him. I like his points cost right now. He gets much higher. I'm going to start not wanting to take him because he's not an auto include. He doesn't need to go up, and he doesn't need to go down either. I'm really happy with him at 120 points. It seems like the right value. But I do have a feeling he might go up a little bit though, just because of the strength of his ability. I really hope not though. So he has the clinical efficiency rule. Once per turn army, which is fair, it needs to be restricted down to that. The reaction is you declare the fight ability for this unit. So the effect, you pick a visible friendly Mortek guard, Mortek Triaxis, or Mortek Crawler unit that has not used an attack ability this phase and is wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Immediately after the fight ability for this unit has been resolved, the target can be picked to use either a shoot ability, as if it was your shooting phase, or a fight ability. If it is picked to do so, add 1 to the hit rolls for the target's attacks for the rest of the turn. The target's range attacks, if any, have shoot and combat for the rest of the turn. If the target uses a shoot ability and is not in combat, all of its shooting attacks must target units in combat with this unit. Holy crap, this is one of the best abilities I've seen. The fact that you can get your Triaxis or your Crawler to shoot in combat to keep them alive, it adds a ton of damage potential for your army when you get into the combat phase. It makes it very much a thing of when they come through and they're trying to pin down your shooting units, if you have him, you're still getting off those shots. You can play around with it and do it very strategically, where you are also getting it in while you're being aggressive, and that is even better because then you get do your regular shoot, charge in with him, he activates your Triaxis or your Crawler behind, you get to shoot again. It's a very fun ability. The +1 to hit on it is great, so you can get your Crawler on 3s and 2s. Absolutely love it. It can do a lot for you. He works great with the Shard of Necros and Immaculate Defender to keep him alive, because as soon as he dies, that whole block that's been pinned is going to start taking a lot of damage. I've seen some battle reports where you Shard of Necros him, you Immaculate Defender him, and then you take the Soggy Lore of Necrothurgy, which has the, I call it the Killy Healy spell, where if you're killing models, you can pick another unit, heal him up. You can make him incredibly durable for a 5 health model. Overall, he's really good. You can even throw the Blade of Nadir if you want on him, because you do kind of want him in combat, but his weapon attacks are just there so that you're getting this shoot ability off. And yes, you can do the Mortek Guard, but you really want this with the Triaxis or the Crawler. If all you have is the Mortek Guard in range, you're going to use it because it is still a good ability, but you want it to get that shooting in the combat phase. Let's talk about the wizards. First one of our wizards, the Mortison Bone Shaper. All the wizards we're going to be covering, so the rest of the heroes, they're all 2 RDP. Pretty much all of them are 5-inch move, 5 health, 4 up save. So we're not going to go over that too much until we run into something different. Their attack profiles are all a little different. Bone Shaper, he's got 3 attacks, 4s and 4s, no Ren, D3. It's a real shitty self-defense. You want to make sure he's not in combat anyways, because he's going to die fast. But he is the Soggy Bone Shaper made a lot better. So he does still have the ability, it's 1 command point. If this unit is not in combat, pick a friendly Mortek Guard or Mortek Triarchs' unit that has been destroyed to be the target. Set up a replacement unit with half the models, wholly within 12 of this unit and not in combat. And it's your hero phase only, but this is really good. You can bring back you want to run reinforced units if you're going with him. You go from a 20 block that just died to now you've got another 10 block of it. And you do not have to keep them outside of 9 inches of enemy units. It's only not in combat. That is really good to have. You can set up your Mortek Guard again to be a good defensive line for him. If you're doing your Triaxes, you're going to want them as far back away as possible, but in a pinch, you can throw them to that just outside of combat. So this ability improved a lot with adding the Triaxes being allowed and the restriction of just not in combat. Well worth it. His other one is Legion Quartermaster. Friendly non-hero OBR unit wholly within 12 rallies. You get 3 additional dice. Maxes you out at the 9 dice. We don't have any musicians to get that 10th one. It's a good thing to have. I like it for his kind of combat medic role. It's a fun ability, but it is the Bone Shaper command point ability that is worth it. And that's where a lot of his points are coming from, is that the 140, maybe a touch expensive. I wouldn't mind it down to 130, but it's tough to say because this ability is really strong. It's expensive though at the command point, so I think we could drop down to 130. I don't think they're going to bring it any lower than that, but I wouldn't mind a 130 on him. Speaking of 130, let's talk about the Mortison Soul Reaper. He's got the same wheel, but for melee weapons, he's got the Soul Reaper Scythe. It's crit 2 hits. Yay, he got to keep crit 2 hits. He's got 4 attacks, 3s and 4s, Ren 2, D3. He is meant to be in combat. I like that they gave him a little bit of a punchier one. It's not super punchy, but it is something that he can do a little bit of damage with. But his abilities are really good though. He's got a passive, subtract 1 from wound rolls for combat attacks made by enemy units while they are in combat with this unit. So you want him in combat because he's keeping everything alive. If you're running him, you want the Shard of Necros on him. You probably are also going to be running him with your infantry units because he can really keep up with them, stay close to them. So you're probably going to want Immaculate Defender as well. He's a really good one for that. That -1 to wound, you stack that with the Immortus Guard, turning off weapon abilities, the Mortek Guard, getting rid of a Pip of Rend. you can make a really super durable block with him, but he is only that 5 health on the 4-up, so he is still susceptible. It's where you really want the shard on him. But his last abilities, once per turn army, any combat phase, Necrotic Blast. Pick each enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the targets. Roll a d3 for each target. On a 2-up, you inflict mortal wounds. After this ability has been resolved, you gain a number of RDP equal to the number of total damage points allocated by this ability this turn. It's a good ability just because it has that chance to spike for extra RDP. You can get a few extra points on it. It does have to go all the way through to the wards. So if you roll for a unit and it's got a 6-up ward, say you roll a 2 on your D3, they ward one of those, you only get the 1 RDP for it, but it's still 1 more than you had before. So I don't mind that at all. That's give me the chance to do a little damage and get more points. I like that. So the big thing that has really changed with him is he does have the fly keyword now. So one of the big changes with him though is that he gained the fly keyword, so he can no longer be obscured. Overall, I don't really hate that. He still gets all the protection from guarded hero. I would obviously prefer he didn't have the fly keyword, but I want him running up in those formations or staying back in those formations, being super defensive anyways. We have other ways to keep him clear. Yeah, he's not obscured, but they still can't shoot him unless they get within 12 inches of him. So, a little less durable on that, but throw the Shard of Necros on him, throw Immaculate Defender on him, or on a nearby hero that you know is going to be knocking off that first pip of damage. So some people are complaining about the fly and the 130 point combo making him a little bit too expensive. I'm okay with it. I still think he's worth the points. It's the durability he can have. He's the wizard. He can get in and get those spells that only have the 12-inch range that are really strong debuffs, or at least be attempting them. And the extra RDP, it's a really good little bonus to have. I don't mind him at his points. I'm still going to run him at those points. Much more expensive, and yes, I think I'm going to stop taking him. If he jumps up to 140, he's going to really get limited. If he goes up to 150, he's not getting brought at all. They do have to be careful of not taking him down too much. 120 is still okay. Anything cheaper than that, and he's going to start getting spammed. Even with this being a once per turn ability, it's the -1 to wound rolls. Anything cheaper than 120, you're going to see multiples of him in a list. So I forgot, with the Bone Shaper, we didn't talk about heroic traits or artifacts of power for him. Manufactured Mind's really the only one that I would put on him, just because he's going to be staying far away, staying safe. Immaculate Defender isn't bad. I'd rather have that on a hero that's going to be a little bit closer to the fights to make sure that I'm getting the maximum usage out of it. If you're feeling like it, if you're a newer player and want that backup and you're bringing him, throw Manufactured Mind, and then at least once per battle after your big hero gets killed, you're getting a few more RDP. That's really it for him. Okay, so we're going to talk the Ossifector first. I want to spend a little bit more time on the Soul Mason afterwards. And Ossifector, he has the same wheel as everyone else. His melee weapon is still just a purely defensive thing. He's coming in at 110 points. He's a wizard 1. He also suffers from the fly keyword as well. But I do feel like it's a little more... it's scarier that the Ossifector has it, because he was one that I would be more likely to want to just chuck into a obscuring terrain to keep him safe. Now we can't do that. We have to be a lot more careful with him, making sure he doesn't get picked off. But he is also going to be a lot further back. So if you can keep him with a little protection unit of some variety to give him guarded hero, he's going to be safe from getting plinked off the board. And your opponents are going to want to plink him off the board for his once per turn army ability, Refined Creations. Pick a friendly Mortet Crawler, Gothisar Harvester, or either of your Morghast units wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Roll a dice. On a 3-up, add 1 to the rend characteristics of the target's weapons until the start of your next turn. Very important, it's just target's weapons, it is not target's melee weapons. So your Mortet Crawler, you can get him up to 2 rend. It's a good ability. He's cheap enough that I like keeping him around all the time. Little one cast wizard to pop something on. If you're running an aggressive Morghast list, like trying for an alpha strike and you're bringing Harbingers, getting them up to 3 rend is great. The Harvester, unless he's the only thing in range, I don't know if I really use this ability on him. His attacks are just so low. The Crawler, it's worthwhile to get him from a 1 to a 2 on those shooting attacks and try and get that extra damage, because when the Crawler spikes, the Crawler does insane damage. So getting that extra pip of rend on him is really good. If you're bringing all of these, you definitely got to bring them. If you're bringing any of these, like only just the Crawler or only just the Morghast or only the Harvester, you're probably still going to want to bring him. He's cheap enough, he's giving you that cast. As far as artifacts and heroic traits, Manufactured Mind again. I might be more willing to put the Shard of Necris on him, but probably not. I'm just going to find other ways to protect him, because I feel like most lists I'm going to have something that gets more use out of the Shard than him. Definitely, for me, he suffers from the fly rule a lot more than the Soul Reaper does, but he's still a great little wizard to bring into your army. Alright, let's talk our last hero, the Mortison Soul Mason. He is our only other wizard too, so he's got a special spot. He is 150 points. His wheel's a little bit different. He's got 6-inch move and he's got 6 health instead of the 5 and 5 like everyone else. Melee weapon, it's the same crap. It's a oh crap swing. You need him to have something to fight. He's got his built-in spell, same as it's been for a while. You pick a friendly OBR unit wholly within 12 of him, gives the target strike first for the rest of the turn. So it is still a really good spell. The 7 to cast is absolutely fair, as it is such a potentially strong one. He's got the double cast. As far as heroic traits and artifacts of power, I like Shard of Necris on him. I like Immaculate Defender. That's really about it, because he's kind of in a weird role where you want him up a little bit because of that spell, so that you can cast it, get it in, but you can also keep him back, throw it on your fast hammers. Here's where my big debate is coming in. So we've got the Soul Mason and we've got Vokmortian. Both of them are 2-cast wizards. Points difference is pretty small. Like the Soul Mason, he's 150. Vok, he's only 140. But normally what it's been as of late has been you would always take the Soul Mason even if Vokmortian was cheaper, because Vok's abilities just weren't quite as good and you wanted to use the artifacts of power. When we had the -2 to charge and the 5-up ward, or the -1 to wound from shooting attacks, you throw that onto the Soul Mason, you're kind of keeping him up there and he's protecting everybody. I don't find that the artifacts and traits really make him a better choice, at least for me. I would rather take Vok. He's got more abilities, his spell is easier to cast, it does a whole lot of chip damage, Vok's spell, and the extra ability is just gravy on top. The extra health on the Soul Mason and the extra inch of movement is really nice, but overall it's not that huge thing of you want to take the Soul Mason because you want to give him the traits and artifacts and he's going to do so much more for you there. Right now I'm preferring Vok every time. Spells easier, they're the same casts. I can deal with that little bit less movement and health. I want the easier spell and the extra utility that he brings. He might have to be the general because he's got the War Master Vok does, but that doesn't feel like a huge limiter to me. I just like Vok a little bit better. This is probably one that's gonna get debated a little bit, which is fine. It is very much a personal choice on which one you'd prefer. I'd rather save the 10 points and gain the extra utility that Vok has, even if it can be a little bit tricky to use and a bit situational in what happens. Just prefer it that little bit more. Okay, so that is all of the heroes. I'll be trying to get out a video where I talk about all of the individual units, hopefully really soon. Overall on the heroes, I like all of our wizards. Our wizards are still good. There's a few little funky things which makes it a little bit interesting. They're all pointed fairly well. I don't mind the points on any of them. Some of them I wouldn't mind if they dropped a little bit, but I can see why they're not going to get dropped, or most likely not going to get dropped at least. But wizards, all of them are good. All of them are fulfilling the same roles they have for the little bit. Where I start to get into more issues is as we get into our combat heroes. Like the Liege Cavalos and the Liege Mortek, I like them. They are perfect, they're pointed well. Same with Xantos, I love him. Liege Cavalos on War Chariot, he's just losing out because the units that he's meant to go with aren't great and they're a little expensive. He could do with a bit more of a reduction. The other Liege Cavalos, Liege Mortek, and Xantos, their points are fine where they are. I'm going to bring them anyways. Arcan has had an awesome glow up. I really like what they've done with him. Yes, he's a lot more expensive, but I'm okay with spending those points because of just how much he can do. So he's fine. Catacross is, unfortunately, he's kind of shelved at the moment. Overall, our heroes are in a good spot. They work with the mechanics. They've got a lot of fun abilities. They really contribute to the overlapping coherency of the army, where you can get a lot of really fun, interesting tactical combinations to go off with them. A lot of them work really well with the traits and artifacts. Like even if you're taking a whole bunch of unique ones and the only thing you've got left is a Bone Shaper for non-unique, you've got a trait and artifact that works well for him. The heroes are fun. They're thematic right now. They are a part that did very well. Losing the crit 2 hits on a bunch of them and the lack of output from our melee focused heroes hurts a little bit, but their abilities make up for it. So overall, I'm happy with them. Hopefully you're happy with the video. If you do, throw a like, comment, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Keep collecting the bone tithe out there. I'll see you in the next one.